he's reckless. He just keeps going in.
The amount of times that dude should be dead
Yes.
is astounding. People keep saving him with their magical spells.
He's not the hero that I want to root for. You know what I mean?
No, I don't, dude. I need you to give me more reasons. You just called him a wiener a bunch so far.
He is, though. I agree with
But like,
you.
I just.
Are you waiting for me?
Yeah. Nice. And welcome back to Anime Shmanime.
We're back.
We're back. I'm your
up?
host, Mikey Lee. We have
I'm your guest, Jordan Hedderwick.
I'm your other guest, Jay Beckett. Thanks for having us on, Mikey.
You're welcome. Fuck you both. All right.
We love to laugh.
Yes, we do. This time around, we're doing one of the Jay's picks.
One of
Fuck
Japes'
yeah.
picks.
Japes.
I'm Japes today,
Japes.
and I picked. We got the giggles. We do have the giggles. Record of Lodoss War.
Yeah. We're going to spoil the fuck out of it. So if this is your first time listening to us, go watch it. Or if you don't and just want to listen to it, have fun listening. Just
Yeah.
watching, I guess.
We're gonna spoil.
We're going to
We
spoil.
are going to spoil. And boy, do I have some opinions on this one.
I
There's
love
a-
that you have opinions.
There's
I
a
can't
lot
wait
to
to hear
spoil
them.
because there's a lot.
A lot going
There's
on.
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that happens in this OVA.
It
This
goes-
it's like 13 episode OVA.
Dense.
It moves quick.
Yeah.
It goes quick.
It goes quick and awkwardly.
It's a little janky.
Yeah.
You know
We'll
what?
get to it,
It's
though.
only halfway through that it gets really janky.
We'll get to it.
You're
the
right. There's something happens
Yeah.
where it's like this should be done now,
Yes.
and then it keeps going, and it's just like, wait, should this have been the story all along?
Yeah, it should have been. You're gonna also. This is gonna be one of those episodes where you're gonna give me a lot of shit for missing a lot of shit or getting some shit wrong in the wrong order, and I just don't care.
You'd be surprised what I will
what
say.
else is fucking new?
What I will say is you guys just watched this
Yeah.
Yes.
very recently.
Yeah.
I watched this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the first time.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like this is my pick.
Yeah.
And I do love this show very
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
and I
yeah.
love a lot about it. And it was always one of those ones where like I recognize the characters. I've seen them for years and years
Yeah.
and years.
Yeah.
I just never actually watched the show that any of them were from.
All right.
So
Yeah, because this was a video game. Or was it
Well,
the
it's-
anime first?
there's a long story.
Okay, anyway,
there's a long
We'll get to
story.
that
We'll
in
get to
Senpai's
that.
Corner.
Okay. But yeah, there's a lot, but it's one that I'm not necessarily gonna be able to tell you stuff you missed or didn't miss because I probably missed stuff too.
Sure. You just care more than I think I do, and maybe
Probably
it
a
seems
little
like
bit.
Mikey does too.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
I might care on the other side.
All right. Well, let's get to it. This might be an unprecedented move. Like this might be. It might be a good time. Okay.
I should be sitting on the Shmanime side for this one.
Well, feel free to hop up and join me over here if you feel so inclined later on.
Well,
okay.
I shouldn't say that, but like, let's go for it.
Oh, you're backpedaling now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I always flip flop. Fuck.
Yeah, that is your style. 7.5, 8, mid to high tier.
Yeah, it's a
Six,
it's a low
six and a
tier,
half,
six.
7. Solid 8.
Yeah.
No, it's an S
No, but
tier
Mikey
now.
doesn't flip flop.
This is S tier.
Yeah.
Easy 7.5, 8,
There's
8.5.
S tier moments.
All right, we do have the fucking giggles. All right, Record of Lodoss War is a fucking LARPer's wet dream. Or it's the Fellowship of the Ring doing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
more that.
It's
than
both of those
Yeah,
things.
it's like
Yeah.
this is like your typical classic high fantasy. Like this kind of reminds me because I'd never seen this either.
Sure.
Right, and going back, it's very reminiscent. I don't have the nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
So it's very reminiscent of how it influenced. I can see the influence of all the later fantasy stuff that you see in anime.
Sure. Mhm.
Especially aesthetically with like the long ears on the elves.
Yeah.
Right. So I definitely enjoy that part.
Yeah.
But story wise,
It's janky.
holy fuck, is it ever janky?
What's weird about it too is I'm watching this Also watching House of the Dragon, also getting invited to go to medieval times with Jay. Like, there's a lot of this happening in my life for some reason right now, all at once.
Look, I love D&D. I love D&D.
Okay.
All right? I love fantasy. You guys both know that, like, I love isekais, and the only reason why I really watch them is because of the fantasy aspect.
Sure.
They don't half the time, they don't need to be isekais.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is one of those things, like, I enjoyed it because it is fantasy, but it's definitely reminiscent of the time and how the storytelling was done, especially with the OVA part, where like we've spoken about this in Baki, where the OVAs were the test episodes, right, to see if this kind of stuff was going to work.
And did this become a bigger franchise? Like, this isn't a standalone OVA. It's like there's more to this story. In this world, right?
It grew into more. It basically spawned a sequel series that came right off the heels of this. That was twice the length of the OVA. So the fact that you got more episodes and not just another OVA is
means
a sign
that it was
of
successful.
success.
Yeah.
Which is kind of still funny when I really think about it. Like, this is a 13-episode OVA. We get 13-episode seasons all the time.
We do. Just call it a season.
Yeah, at this point. You know, when I think of OVA, it's usually like a one-off or like maybe 3 to 6 at most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Little Senpai's Corner?
Yeah, get into it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right. So Record of Lodoss War, or Rodosu Tosenki, literally meaning
Jordy.
literally meaning Lodoss Island War Chronicle.
Yeah, but in real Japanese this time.
is a franchise of fantasy novels by Ryo Mizuno, based on the work he originally created for a world called Forcelia as a rules-free setting for role-playing games, RPGs. Now, when I say role-playing games, guys, I do not mean the fucking Witcher. I do not mean Skyrim. I do not mean any of this shit. I mean tabletop, fucking old-school, non-computer role-playing games where you had a book. You had a book that you followed, and that was your game.
You talk about
Your game
it.
was the book.
But books are books, and they're not games.
Make a decision, turn to page whatever, continue your story.
Choose your story.
But that was the origin of RPGs. Like, that's where they originally came from. That was all you had was text.
Dungeons and Dragons was the OG RPG.
So there have since been multiple manga, anime, and computer game adaptations, several of which have been translated into English. The plots generally follow the convention and structure of the RPG systems, including Dungeons & Dragons, Sword World RPG, in which several characters of distinct types undertake a specific quest. So one of the adaptations that we got off of this was an anime series, the OVA that we covered. It was a 13-episode OVA produced by Madhouse Studios.
Madhouse?
How many times have we heard fucking Madhouse?
But this has to be early on in there.
I'm getting sick and tired of bringing it up.
Yeah, Madhouse and what was it? Manga Studios? Like back in the day, those were the big hitters.
Yeah.
A lot of them were the big hitters.
So this was released in VHS format from June 30th, 1990 through November 20th, 1991. In 98, AIC produced a 27-episode anime television series that continued the story of the first OVA series, but ignored its last third in order to adapt the original novel series more faithfully. Which tells me that the novels have a different ending than the ending we got here.
Interesting.
And maybe that turning point where the story seems to all of a sudden just move in a different direction here
is unique to this.
Is unique to the OVA, right? That's what I'm kind of gathering. Yeah. So
Typical anime bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anime is bullshit.
No.
Sometimes.
Okay. Let me take that back. It's just typical
anime
producers
bullshit is what you said.
Producers bullshit. Producers bullshit.
Producers of anime who make the anime.
Fucking shut the fuck up.
But yeah, you know,
Let senpai talk.
This is like it's a pretty massive hit there. The novel series sold over 10 million copies in Japan.
I feel like it would make a great novel if it's translated into English and I can read it. I would actually probably smash this.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's
like,
high fantasy.
It is. If you just strip it away, it's no different than Dragonlance Chronicles or
The Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Literally
yeah.
you can just interchange it, right?
Yeah.
When we see it in anime, you're seeing it through that distinctly Japanese lens, which
Yeah.
I love so much. You're getting that typical 90s animation that we love so much. Again, I feel like I bring it up all the time, but fucking like that Ninja Scroll like vibe, you know what I mean, is so fucking present here. And I love to see that style.
The energy is there for sure, but quality isn't as like Ninja Scroll, right? Because like with this one, I remember seeing scenes where, you know, like for example, they're in a ball and they pan to the band, the big orchestra, and it's a still frame that just pans and moves, right? Where in like later animes or feature films, they would actually be animating them playing.
Well, that's got to be a budget thing for an experimental OVA versus a feature film. That's my guess, right?
Right. So
this was spread out, right? This was spread out over 13 episodes. Things get a little thin, maybe, right? Budget-wise, maybe you're not paying the big-time artists.
Yeah, you got to pay the
Whereas Ninja Scroll was like, budget, in now, right? So, definitely not quite on the same level, but like it still evoked that same style, and like there are some really excellent close-up portrait shots of a lot of these characters.
I guess you could say. I agree. Yeah,
that are really beautiful. A lot of great shots of Deed.
Yeah.
Where they really step up the animation quality and when she's
she was your
cute.
waifu during Waifu Wars.
She was an honorable mention.
Oh, she was no. She was.
She did not make my finalist, but she was an honorable mention, and I mean, she's a legend. She pops up all over the place. She was one of those characters that I've known for years before I even knew what she was from.
Yeah.
And like Mikey said, like the ear style and all that is something you'll see in so much fantasy anime.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the looks of things here, even like the Marmo guys, like the villains.
Yeah.
The humongous bodies and giant hulking armors and like their little, tiny heads or whatever. Like that was so of the time. Like that evokes like the clamp style, which was like card captors, you know what I mean? Where they had these big broad shoulders on the men and these tiny little heads.
Oh
like,
yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like it was very of the time.
And those are just regular dudes. They weren't like wearing any armor. They just had huge bodies.
But you imagine these guys without the armor, their bodies would probably look pretty fucking similar.
Big,
yeah. Has that very kind of Warhammer feel in a little bit where they have the tiny little heads and just fucking huge armor.
Yeah. But also, like when I was watching this, I was picking up, a lot of similarities with Berserk, with a lot of like the darker kind of more gothic fantasy stuff as well, because as colorful as the heroes are on this team, the Marmo side, the armor designs, the weapon designs,
another
very dark, very reminiscent of like like the Soul series, the Dark Souls series,
Fate Zero.
Yeah, and
a little bit.
I could
but
see
again,
that.
it's I don't know. Japan just approaches high fantasy like with this like slightly gothic touch sometimes,
which I love.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful here, and like you see it like so heavily. Like again, especially on the Marmo soldiers, like their armor is just so dope.
Yeah.
Such a nerd for their armor. I don't know. I just look at it and be
got
like,
hard on for that.
I want it.
Yeah.
I want it. Yeah. Yeah. I love that shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That being said, like the other characters in it are fucking like cartoon character, like total cartoon character.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, also the cast is very much so. You got your warrior, you got your elf, you got your thief, you got your cleric, you have everything.
The party,
right?
You got one of each party.
You got one of each,
yeah. The D&D party, and they all fill their roles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just felt like the whole thing was a little bit predictable, right? Because I guess I've seen so much fantasy that like you can kind of see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, they weren't really breaking ground on their storytelling here.
Yeah.
It's a very by the books
for
fantasy thing, but like that was part of the fun for me. Was like as I was watching it, it felt almost like my first ever D&D campaign that I ever ran, where it was like it was kind of safe. You kind of knew you were probably going to be okay, just like I kind of knew that they were probably all going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's like the fun first adventure.
Yeah.
It very much gives that like
it does.
Which I guess it is reminiscent of the time, right? Like when this came out, that's what it would have been, because it was just coming into the mainstream that way.
Yeah, you didn't have like Game of Thrones, like, you know, throwing a wrench in the fantasy formula,
Totally
and
changing the
making
game.
it gritty and
Yeah.
fucked up, and, and
Murdering
you know,
your favorite characters.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like this was still at a time when fantasy was safe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite characters died in this.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Character size, you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
a good
I mean,
point.
also, I think because it was a video game at one point, I think it's very reminiscent of those old RPG, like JRPG games, right? Because they do kill off some characters, or you get to lose some of those characters and you gain different characters.
Yeah.
Right, in your party as the story progresses.
Yeah.
Right. So it definitely reminded me a lot of those old SNES JRPGs that I really enjoyed when I was a kid.
Right.
So that part was really nice. But otherwise, the fuck was going on, man?
I don't know, dude. Do we want to like try and tackle? I feel like
I you guys are like talking about this like it was like so hard to digest and like get through. I admit it was a little clunky, but I'm very curious to see just what got you guys so
here's the
worked
thing.
up about this.
What got me worked up was the plot, and so we can either go right into it or we can like stick to our format. I feel like you kind of like gushed over art a little bit already.
Yeah, I'm good on art now.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
want to
very
point
classic
out
of 90s.
one thing about art, because we'll go back and then we'll get into plot. So one thing about art I want to point out is the fucking anime eyes that we talk about all the time. I feel like we're watching the pioneering of anime eyes in this.
Really good anime eyes in this.
Yeah.
Some next level quivering, teary eye
Especially
situation.
from our girl right
Yeah.
there.
And our dude Parn
Yeah.
too, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck Parn. He's a loser.
Kind of agree.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
so,
get into it.
so here's the thing, right? I don't think it's a pioneer because those anime eyes have been around even way before this came out.
Sure.
Right. And it's all been everywhere. I think because this is probably the first time we've watched in the 80s that really had that at the forefront of their characters.
Yeah.
Right. As far as design goes.
Sure.
But I will say though, I know Dietlef was your Dietleet, whatever her name is.
Deedlef?
Dietlef, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll roll with it.
She I can leave her. I can totally leave her. She was way too
That's fine, dude.
whiny.
Okay. She's mine then.
Yeah.
Bye.
Do you know what you do? Do you know who you should have went with?
The other elf, the dark
The
elf.
dark elf. Yeah.
But that's just because her tits are out, you fucking perv.
No, she's loyal. She was self-sacrificing. She was way more self-confident.
Okay, you're actually right, actually. Yeah, good point.
Yes.
She was evil.
That too.
Hey,
it was
yeah,
great.
yeah, Mikey.
Yeah. And not to mention,
Mikey loves that, though, so that's a selling
it's
point
also
for him.
true. Actually, before I
It's
met
the fear boner.
Yeah, it's the fear boner. Before she was introduced as a character, I really liked what was it? The first
The witch?
Yeah,
Carla?
Carla. Yeah, I was like,
I
okay,
guess.
she's waifu.
You
Carla
just-
was waifu.
Just desperate to pick one.
Yeah. I have one. It's going to be the one that makes me scared.
There's a couple in this one that was like, okay, I could see that.
There were
All
a
right.
few, yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, I just like you're thinking with your dick if you don't pick Deed. Like, I'm sorry, like
No, absolutely not.
She-
okay, Carla.
Hey, you guys
Carla-
want to hear something interesting? You don't have to pick one at all.
You do.
You can just not.
No, but Carla, what was her aesthetic? She was always in a cloak.
Again, you're talking aesthetic because you're thinking with your dick. Talking about the character.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
and
already
same
established
with
your
the
dick responds to fear, so you are thinking with your dick.
Fuck you both.
Who would be the better waifu? Deed is not evil,
Yeah.
and she is a very loyal love.
Well, I still think the dark elf is the better waifu because she
Is evil.
Is not technically evil. It depends on the side that you're on, right? This
Okay.
whichever side
Oh, we're
you
gonna
are
have this
on.
argument now.
Thanos,
Right?
the Thanos thing is gonna come out again.
It comes out every fucking episode.
Can't have an episode without bringing up Thanos.
I'm just saying, they believe what they're doing is right at the end of the day for the good of Lodoss.
Yeah, but they're wrong, and
They're not wrong.
They are, and that's a character flaw.
I would call you out by asking you to tell me her name, the dark elf's name, if you loved her so much. But considering you called Deedlef a few seconds ago,
You have no
I'm gonna go ahead and
interest.
assume
No
you have
fucking
zero idea what her name was.
Yeah.
But all right. We'll move on.
What was her name?
I'm not gonna tell you now.
Just guess.
No, I actually
Just
don't.
guess.
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's Pyrotest.
Pyrotest. Oh yeah, I remember. I do remember it being a long
Oh
one.
yeah, I remember now.
I remember now.
Oh, Pyrotest. I said it same time. Said it at the same time, maybe slightly before you.
Yeah. Of course, I remember my waifu's name. All right, giggly boys. I have nothing else to say about art. Let's. I don't really have anything to say about music, so let's just skip right over that one, unless you got something.
Yeah, it was classic, kind of
whatever.
90s.
Kind of felt like Legend of Zelda type shit.
But yeah,
I would even say Legend of Zelda had better music.
Probably.
course,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
definitely.
Okay, let's talk about the world then. So
Lodoss.
we talked
Lodoss.
about it's like there's an ancient ongoing war.
Yeah, they give you the lowdown.
light and dark.
Every intro of every episode,
Which
they
I
give you the
skipped.
history.
Exactly. And what one thing I thought was cool is in the first episode when they give it to you in like a series of fresco paintings.
Yes.
Yes.
it was
And I
really
was like,
nice.
that's very on brand for this show, right? It's very, it's high fantasy. It's a little gothic. It's like, it was cool. I like that.
And I thought it was unique that you have this land that was basically birthed out of these warring nations. It's
Yeah.
almost like war itself created this land
Yeah.
that its purpose was almost to fuel a never-ending war.
Yeah.
It was like a land birthed of war to support war for an ongoing eternal war. It's like, I don't know. They like
Yeah, isn't Carla's whole point about keeping balance, and that balance is to continue the war between the two nations?
she's in service to Lodoss in the
Yeah.
sense that in the service of Lodoss's true purpose, which is to be a land of war.
Yeah.
Perpetually, forever. And that anytime the scales are tipped too far in one direction or the other, Carla will show up and do
Yeah.
that. You know? So she's at the same time like an agent of chaos because she's like thwarting everybody's plans, you know, at will,
Yeah.
while also being an agent of order because she's maintaining the order of the land. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
very nuanced, very cool character.
Yeah.
Not waifu material though.
No, 'cause she'll fuck you over in a heartbeat.
You just tried to say Carla was waifu material over deeply.
Okay, so Carla.
You did actually,
Wait,
yeah, you did say that.
Let's hold it. Let's bring this back for a second here. Let's bring this back for a second here. So Carla, when she has taken over the original priestess, was
Yeah.
waifu. That aesthetic was really nice.
You're thinking with your dick again. I understand.
And not the thief, because like Carla takes over the thief, which
Yeah.
was another really weird thing where like all of a sudden this I guess because it's a magical tiara that then floated back up to the water surface and took over the thief, and now but there's this whole thing of like her saying, hey, not any person is going to do, but hey, this thief is going to do right now. And now she's stuck on in this thief's body.
Yeah.
I don't even fucking remember the thief's name.
Wood something.
Woody?
Woodchuck.
Woodchuck, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the
Chucky.
he was the rogue.
Mikey, you're so sour about this, eh? You're salty as hell about this show.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
I think though, like, you know, they don't go too deep into it, but for me, like when the crown was kind of floating around, like to me, it felt like it was clinging to life by trying to just go to anybody it could.
Yeah.
And Woodchuck happened to be the most powerful person in the area at
Well,
the time.
and he's got to have something going for him because he like joins our team, and our team is like a team of heroes. So he's not a nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
give him that.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a nobody.
I mean, it's a team of ragtag heroes.
Yeah, that's but heroes nonetheless.
Yeah, it's true. And that's kind of how it is always in these kind of high fantasy
course.
stuffs.
Okay, another thing about World, we're fucking all over the place in this episode, but whatever.
Yeah.
Another thing about World is the fucking once again, it's like just like fucking loaded with magic,
Yes.
just loaded with magic.
But is this magic acceptable to you?
No, because everyone can do fucking magic, dude. Elves do magic, dwarves randomly do magic, wizards do magic, obviously, priests do magic. There's magical items.
Yes.
Like everything is charged magically.
But here's the thing. It's not everybody can do magic. So like Parn can't do magic.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Right? So
Yeah.
The people being slaughtered by the Marmo armies and all that can't.
I
do
understand
Yeah.
some people can't, but how am I to understand who can and who can't? There's no framework for magic in this show. It's just,
there is the D&D. It's the D&D world.
but I don't play
essentially.
D&D.
It's okay, high
so there's-
fantasy world. And like fucking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, who can do magic in Lord of the Rings? Tell me.
The elves.
Nope.
The elves
Not
can't
quite
do
magic. Not quite magic, dude.
Shut your. Oh,
Not
buddy,
quite magic, dude.
You hit a chord with J. You
Oh,
hit
don't
a chord
even-
with
It's
J.
not
Come
quite magic,
here,
dude.
dude.
It's not quite magic.
bro. Don't come for me right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna advise you right now to pull the parachute on this one.
Okay, maybe the elves in Lord of the Rings can do magic.
Seriously, pull the parachute. I'm gonna back up Mikey, okay? Because you named elves and dwarves, okay, as being able to do magic.
Yeah.
Check this. Not humans.
Sure.
Okay. So shut up. Next up we've got a cleric. Okay.
Yeah.
You might not know what clerics are. Okay. Clerics derive their power from religion.
Sure.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
holy power.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It comes from heaven, from God.
Yeah.
Okay. Wizards derive their power
I know wizards
from...
can do magic. You don't have to explain that one to me.
Okay. So do you see what I'm saying? Where like if you just understand like even the most bare bones level of framework of the, like Mikey said,
Fantasy
the D&D
Yeah,
high fantasy world,
yeah.
you understand why the people that can do magic can do magic. It's not just completely random. Like Parn can't do magic.
Yeah. I don't care. I didn't like it.
Which is
much
crazy
magic,
to
man.
me because considering how much you like high fantasy.
Some of it.
Dude, you watch fucking Dragon or
I don't know, man. He just said elves can't do magic, so like
I don't know,
I
man.
just like
Yeah,
They can do some weird shit,
honestly,
but like,
dude, honestly.
Jay's
I guess
done.
they do magic. I
Jay's
don't
done.
fucking know.
He's got a migraine.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I love how
sure.
elves can't do magic really gets you going.
I don't know, man. There's
It's
just
kind
this
of
really
amazing.
iconic scene where Arwen literally speaks to a river and it turns into a bunch of fucking horses
That's a good
and
point,
kills the
actually.
fucking ring wraiths.
Yeah,
so like,
that's a good point. All right. Okay, elves can do magic. I'm wrong on that one. I think the thing with this show specifically is the magic seemed like really convenient. Like it wasn't like
yeah, man. Again,
they were
this
just
is-
like pulling at other every obstacle they came across. Deedlee was like, "Oh, I've got a spell for that," and she would just do it, and it would just
Safe.
work, and
It's
they would
safe.
just move on. Yeah.
It's like we were saying, like Mikey was saying before, like it came from an era where fantasy was
Yeah.
still just getting going. It was still
Yeah.
just like having fun, and it was like kind of safe. They weren't flipping things upside down yet.
I just don't need that in my life.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know what to do with you right now, man. No.
You know, sometimes he comes off like a little Gen Zer or something. You know what I mean? Like a little like you know.
Like an elder millennial?
No.
No.
Because that's what I am.
I know. That's
Yeah.
what I know. That's what you are.
Yeah.
You know what Gen Z is, right?
Yeah. The youngins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes.
No
But
offense
I'm
to Gen
like,
Zs,
but
though.
I'm like crotchety old man vibes.
You're
Yeah,
just
but
a
in the way that
curmudgeon.
they are, like they're crotchety young kids because they like think everything sucks unless it has like, 8,000 references to other Marvel movies or battles or whatever.
I don't want that either. I just
Sounds
don't
like-
like. There's not just not much I like.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's just a curmudgeon at the end of the day.
I think today, yeah, he's just decided that he's gonna hate on this one. So all right, let's get it over.
Which is
with.
funny because I was gonna hate on it, and then he said that,
And now
I'm
you're, like,
now
ready to go.
Now I'm like,
Oh, I see how it is. I see how it is, Mikey. I'm glad you didn't sit over here with me. I see how it is.
You need to know at least the basics, bud.
What do you mean that elves can do magic?
Yes.
I got it now. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Elves can do magic.
Also, I've learned too, Deedlead is totally a bard. She's a bard. Her class is bard.
What's a bard?
A bard
She
is
doesn't
like,
sing though.
dude, she was playing the lute thing.
Was she?
Yeah, in the series, like trying to serenade Parn and shit like that.
She's
yeah,
also
she's
isn't she
got
a princess?
She's got bard feels.
Bard energy,
Yeah.
big bard.
Yeah, bro. Big bard energy. I don't think that sentence has ever been spoken before. No. Amazing. I'm
just gonna
Yeah.
go watch Critical Role after this now.
Is that some Dungeons and Dragons shit?
Yeah, it's like a YouTube channel.
You're,
Well,
pre-
too
you're
much, man.
pretty,
It's too long.
you're a
Can't-
pretty
I
cool
can't
dude.
watch it, dude. I can't
pretty
watch
cool
it.
dudes over here.
Really
Anyway,
cool. Really cool.
we're
Really
fucking
cool like this
super
show.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool like this show.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the show, I should say. Like it's not all hate.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of excessive magic. Mm-hmm. And it makes you angry. And that's that.
Oh, so
That's where we
you're
are here.
only you're only hating on magic because
No, I'm hating on magic because there's too much of it for my liking.
You know what there isn't too much of?
What?
Fucking subscribers who are going to come and subscribe.
There's definitely not
There's
too
definitely
many of
not too many of
those.
those. Yeah, you're right.
We could definitely always do with
Which
more.
brings us to our main point. We need more of them.
Yes.
So please like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Tell a friend, leave a comment, turn on that notification.
Hit us up on
Yes.
Discord.
Yes, all that good stuff. Please and thank you. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we already appreciate all the people who do subscribe.
And now we're back to Jordy
Yeah.
talking about how this high fantasy show
Has too much
has
magic.
too much magic in it.
Yeah.
Because the elves and the dwarves are magic.
Can I just say,
Just want to
too
make
much
sure
magic.
everybody's caught up on what's going on right now.
too much magic for me? I'm not saying everyone has to hate this show for that reason. I'm just saying that's like
Okay.
a reason why I don't like
Sure.
it as much as other people.
I'm just making sure people really understand that Jordy doesn't like Record of Lodoss War because there's too much magic.
But are
in
you
it.
surprised, man? After all the episodes
Yeah,
we've done,
I
and
am
after,
surprised.
after all the harping on magic that I've done,
Let's move on. Fuck
Okay.
this.
When you
Fuck
put
this.
when you put magic in
Jay's
a
like,
non
no.
when you put magic in a non-magic show or movie, I get that complaint. But this
Yeah.
is high fantasy, dude.
Yeah.
It's kind of the whole fucking thing.
yeah, but
Yeah.
and then the whole fucking thing is just kind of not for me because of that.
All right, both of you accepted. Let's move on.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about characters. We are going to talk about Parn, who I think Mikey hates.
He's just too much of a wiener.
He's kind of dumb.
He's a
Why?
He's overly
Okay.
emotional.
yes.
Okay.
You know what it is too. It is kind of par for the course because he is a child. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Like he grew up, he lost his dad.
Yeah.
And I sympathize with that.
He's not a child.
Listen,
He's not
dude.
really a child,
He's-
but
yeah.
he's very immature.
He's young.
He's a very immature character.
Yeah,
he
for sure.
idolizes people.
Yeah.
right. Especially the king of the mercenaries,
King Cashew.
King Cashew.
Delicious nuts that I love.
Cashaway?
Cashway. Yeah,
Not in the
I don't know
dub.
how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I watched the
this
dub,
is the
everybody.
problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a problem.
It is.
For you.
called
And-
him King Cashew.
That's what they call him.
I'm a cashew. Let's do this.
Yo, cashews are delicious, and I actually
also-
respected him for that. That's a
Yeah.
good nut to be named after.
Cashaway.
Right, but again, he's reckless. He just keeps going in.
The amount of
And-
times
and-
that dude should be dead
Yes.
is astounding. People keep saving him with their
Right.
magical
He's
spells.
he's not the hero that I want to root for. You know what I mean?
No, I don't, dude. I need you to give me more reasons. You just called
okay.
him a wiener a bunch so far.
he is though. I agree with
But, like, I
Mikey.
just don't know
There's
why
no-
you think that. Like
Because again, he's selfish. He's so selfish.
why?
He's selfish because he wants to do the right thing so much so that he's disregarding everybody else's either safety, needs, or their circumstances, right? So he's going in just gung ho, and even when people are like telling him don't do that, but he still fucking does it, and he's not taking anything into consideration. Right, where you have like somebody like later in the season, you have that berserker. I can't remember his name either, but he's a bit more stoic.
I don't even think they say his name.
No, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is more stoic.
He's more stoic.
But he also doesn't do anything.
No, but you don't get a lot of his character development. But
Yeah.
even from what I've seen that in the show,
Yeah.
you just know that he's a lot more thoughtful. The only problem is he's got that one like strength that's also a weakness is when he gets mad, he goes berserk.
Yeah, his
Right?
magical power is losing it.
Yeah, which is another fantasy thing. A berserker is a class, right? So,
Okay.
so for him, he's the kind of guy that I would kind of root for as a hero. If they put him as the hero, as Parn instead, like his character, I'd be like all over it.
He was almost like too stoic, though. You know what I mean? Like
I kind of like that.
Yeah, but that's guts. Just go watch Berserk.
I actually think
I
that
actually, yeah, you know what? You're right.
he would. He
That's
would
right.
rather.
That's
He
right.
would rather.
Exactly it. Because I love Berserk
For sure. And that's the thing. Like Parn is like, yeah, he's a little on the nose of your like kind of typical,
Yeah.
shonen anime protagonist. And,
Mm-hmm.
he definitely has quite a lot of plot armor. He gets away with a lot.
Totally.
But I think like his heart was always in the right place. Like I don't think at any point he caved to any of the fame that he was getting. You know, he was even offered the holy knight armor by the king,
And he said no.
And he said no. He chose to stay with his dad's armor because
Yeah.
it meant more to him as you know, as part of his family. Like there was a humbleness that I saw with Parn, and then definitely I'd say in like the second half, it all rests in his relationship with Deed. And like the things that he does for her to get her back and to protect her and the lengths that he goes. He seems very dedicated. He seems very like
For sure.
trustworthy. You know what I mean? Like for me, like I got nothing but like positive stuff from Parn.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like I don't know. Like is he young and reckless and maybe stupid and endangered himself and did things wrong?
Yeah.
Of course, but like what hero doesn't do that? The whole point is for them to overcome those mistakes and that adversity.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting him to be some perfect seasoned veteran guts like warrior.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't think I need him to be a perfect guts by any means, but like at least kind of learn from those mistakes and stop being so immature when
You didn't get any growth off of Parn through the whole series?
I actually agree with Jay. I got growth off of Parn for sure.
I guess
I did think he was a wiener at first, but that's like par for the course for his character.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I do think he got growth. And I do think, I agree, actually, it came from his relationship with Deedley.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's probably where the only growth was with Deedly.
But that led to his personal growth because it allowed him to overcome, like, yeah, a lot of that recklessness and just like take charge and do what needs to get done in the time that it needs to get done. You know, what
And
I
he
mean?
was fighting for something at that point as well, because one thing you realize is a lot of these people don't have any real connection to Lodoss, the land itself. It's to the people around them and their friends and their family. Like they're not fighting to save the land. They're fighting for their friends. And
Yeah.
for the longest time, Parn is kind of new to this group.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any really strong connections with them. So it feels like Parn is just fighting for good.
Yeah.
And the idea of good.
Well, he's trying to live up to his
And to
father's,
his father's
to fill his father's
legacy.
shoes. Yeah, 100%.
So like to that, like it's hard to get an idea for his motivations and if they're really
Well, not to
honorable
mention,
and true.
also, something happened with this. I guess is more plot, but we can get into it. Something happened with his dad where like nobody liked him,
His father was
Yeah.
disgraced.
and then they
technically.
also try to like kick Parn out of town, and he ends up getting sent away in like a more diplomatic way, right? But like,
They kick out
Yeah.
Parn because he accidentally kills one of the goblins, and the whole town's just like fuck.
Blames it on him.
Now the
Yeah.
goblins are gonna come for retribution and demand.
But instead of
somebody
kicking
in
him out,
return.
the mayor's like, or the whoever's in charge is just like, oh, you know what we'll send him to go investigate what's going on with these goblins.
They're much
they do it in
nicer
a
about it.
diplomatic way.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
thing is when you say like about him living up to, you know, what's his motivations, I think there's something in there as well too. He has something to prove to all these people. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not just about living up to his
Yeah.
dad's legacy. It's about like, hey, you know, like I'm not a fucking shithead.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing about his dad's legacy, why people hate him, is that they don't know the real story, and which gets fleshed out later, right?
Yeah.
Where like he went to save the princess.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
right. So, but
Anyways.
anyways, Parn,
But moving on.
we can move on.
Parn, top-notch character. Fucking love him.
He's
Our
fine.
boy Parn.
He's fine. A
You know
lot
what
of this
it-
show is
yeah.
just fine.
Hate
I
you
think
guys,
what it is. It's just my bias that comes in with the whole like liking dark fantasy. That's my jam.
I feel like you want a strong character.
especially in fantasies.
Yeah.
I want strong characters with a lot of depth in character that have
Yeah.
a lot of internal turmoil.
Yeah.
That really have to like overcome that, and also I just like dark shit.
You wanted an
Yeah.
Aragorn and you got a Frodo.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You gotta stay away from the Lord of the Rings references, my
You
dude.
can't though. You can't. They're
But,
weird.
no, but you in particular need to.
Oh, because I just learned that elves can do magic.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm not an authority on Lord of the Rings.
that's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about an elf then. Moving on, who can do magic. Let's talk about Deedly, who actually is my favorite character in the show,
Thank you.
hands down.
Thank you.
She is like she's a sexy badass elf.
Ray of Sunshine, man.
Yeah, she's amazing. I will say there's something about her character that's a little ruined in how hard she's crushing on Parn. It's kind of like, and she has like an unfortunate jealous streak that is kind of like doesn't look good on her in my opinion. I was like, I would have liked it better if you were just a sexy badass elf and not like so helpless about
With a little bit more confidence instead of insecurity.
yeah, in that aspect specifically. She's confident in all other realms of life, but when it comes to Parn, she's like hopelessly crushing on him all the time, and I'm like, I would have liked to see her not have that as a character trait.
Very tropey.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
tsundere trope a little bit, not to the full extent, but the whole like, oh, I'm going to make fun of you, but
Yeah.
I secretly love you, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm still going to tell you I love you.
Yeah.
Right, so
Dude, you mentioned the scene where they're at the ball.
Yeah.
She gets rattled when he's hanging out with King Cashaway the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying for you, dude.
Thank you.
I care about you more than I care about this show, so I'll try. But
he's
yeah.
trying to redeem himself.
I am,
for the-
man.
Nice.
But yeah, she
Because
gets
he saw the hurt in you.
Good.
yeah. I'm trying to mend. Anyways, she gets rattled because he's like all more infatuated with his newfound idol and she wants the attention for herself. She's all dressed up in her gown and shit, and she gets all rattled by
She's
it.
looking so cute in that scene.
Yeah, but I hated how she acted in that scene because I was like, like, you know, I mean, like, yeah, be whatever. Like in real life, I want to be like, okay, be who you are, of course. But
It
like,
humanizes her, right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing is like it is unfortunately a flaw to her character, but I think it does add a certain
true.
humanizing factor that she's not just this infallible, perfect elven
Yeah.
warrior who is just like incredible. You know
I
what
think,
mean?
like Mikey said, I would have liked if they had done it in a less tropey way. Another thing about Deedlit, again, we already mentioned her fucking magical powers are like way too convenient for me, and she more than anybody else.
she's OP.
She is OP.
But like so effortlessly in a stupid way, dude. Like
But she has OP. Her magic is based off of elements, right? And elemental spirits.
Yeah.
And those elemental spirits are OP in general. So
it's just annoying that like literally anytime there was like a random obstacle, she just had a spell to make it not a problem. Like those scenes could have just not been part of it at all. You know what I mean? At all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. I don't have that many more characters to talk about, even though there's a fucking million of them.
We
There's
didn't
just
talk
so
about
many.
Gim.
Gim.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm only bringing up Gim because like he kind of is a
Gimli?
yeah, no
The
kidding.
dwarf.
He's kind of a central figure to like that initial arc
Yeah.
of this OVA.
Yeah.
The getting Lelia
Yeah.
out of Carla or whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
Getting Carla off of Lelia's head. I don't really
Whatever,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked him. I like that he brought like this grandpa fatherly kind of vibe
Yeah.
to the crew.
Sure.
and,
He was kind.
yeah, but again,
And he
it
had
just,
a bit of turmoil too, right? With depth of character, where he's
Well, yeah,
all that guilt for not
yeah, because
bringing
he
her
was
back.
he was working to try and get Lelia back, which is Niece's daughter, and he loved Niece, and
Yeah.
and so therefore he was committed to getting Lelia back, and it was a very touching story. But for me, it was like this just feels weird to like have this be like just at the beginning / middle of this whole story.
Yeah.
It just like it's like, is this the story?
Well,
Should this not just be the 13 episodes? Is them getting Lelia back from Carla and like
that should have been
and
season
then-
1
and
then season 2.
and then Gim,
Yeah.
spoil it. We already fucking spoil it. Gim,
Yeah.
then Gim dies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it has impact, like real impact at the end of the season, as opposed to happening in the middle of the season, where by the end of the season,
Yeah.
I forgot about it.
Yeah. Dude,
I was like, oh yeah.
yeah.
That fucking huge moment where Gim, one of the main characters,
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
dies,
There was that
is an
one-
afterthought by the end of the show.
At one point at the end, I literally had a thought where same as you, but I was like, did we like not give him an ending? And I was like, oh no, we did.
we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
He's dead.
He's dead.
dead.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe they just abandoned him at some point or something.
No, they gave him a grave and all that stuff.
It
and
was touching.
Yeah, but it's
You
again,
forget about it though. 'Cause
Yeah,
you moved so far beyond it.
because the thing is, at that point, this is where it gets a little janky, right? And you have these like weird time skips that happen that aren't really time skips at the same time. And then that's where the flow and pacing gets weird.
Well, I think we all kind of agree there's 2 acts. There's
Yes.
Act 1 and Act 2.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that's plain. And I think we all would have liked it a little better if it was season 1, and then close it off, and then season 2.
Yes. And I think the other thing too is if they didn't do, if they closed it off right there in the middle, then we wouldn't have got dragons. And I think they really wanted to put in dragons.
Well, you got dragons in like the first episode.
No, but like I'm battling dragons.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll
they
talk about
they
battling
fought
dragons.
the one green dragon They
Right
fought
away.
Right away, the first episode they fought the green dragon. But yeah, then that like felt like a small fry dragon compared
Yeah,
to
oh,
the
yeah,
other
yeah,
ones. The
for
ones
sure.
towards the end of the series
Yeah.
were like
Ancient dragon.
ancient elemental forces of
like
the earth.
burning
Yeah.
cities to the
They
ground.
represent
dragons.
like entire ideas,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
darkness.
Not to mention
and-
like hordes of treasure, including the scepter of whatever the
It's,
domination
like,
or whatever
domination.
yeah, yeah.
you call it. Yeah.
I'd like to have a scepter of domination.
Of course you would, you Thanos motherfucker.
But yeah, so it felt like, you know, a few different stories kind of running alongside each other that were kind of bumping into each other a bit.
Yeah.
Because you know, you also had the whole story of I forget the main king's name. You know, and his fight against the guy from Marmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this first act you're still talking about. And they
Because
both die, right?
Yeah, against
Yeah.
Beld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, because that in itself, again, it
Was a
could
big
be
deal.
an entire arc.
That was a big deal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like their fight against Marmo, like that in itself is its own fucking show. The fight to get Carla back is its own fucking show. And then Deedly getting kidnapped by Wagnard and then them having to get her back with the scepter. And that's its own fucking series. Like,
Yeah.
give me a full season of each of these.
But the thing in high fantasy, and again, I hate to keep using Lord of the Rings, but like all these things, they do that, right? There's so many characters that they split off, and then you get parallel stories all happening at once.
But a
right?
good one will bring them back together at a certain
Yes.
point in
Yeah.
a really interesting and thought provoking way.
Yeah.
This one never does.
No, you're
When
right.
it splinters, it
Yeah.
stays splintered.
Some
People
char-
die.
some
People
characters-
never see each other again.
Yeah.
And some people are just fucking full blown forgotten.
Irrelevant as well too. Some characters, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Fuck, God, man, I don't know. The only other character I have really to say words about is Ashram.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
he's probably my favorite overall character in the movie.
Really?
I mean, well, Deed is probably actually, but
Yeah.
other than her,
Yeah.
yeah, I loved Ashram.
I kept referring to him as the OG emo, like this. I called him Sword emo.
Yeah.
I kept writing Sword emo in my notes
Yeah,
because the sword and his broodiness are his two main traits.
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, he's
His
so
armor was sick though.
yeah.
His armor was
His
sick.
his overall design
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
fucking chef's kiss, man.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated him as a counterpart to Parn.
Yes.
Because where Parn is like very emotional and like kind of like
He's aimless a little bit in
a
his
little bit.
in his
Yeah.
in his goals and in his path and in
Totally.
his destiny, whereas Ashram knows
super
very
stoic,
much
very serious, very driven.
his path.
Yeah.
This is what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah.
Whereas Parn is a little bit like, what?
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I'll just follow this cashew guy.
Yeah, there's a bad guy. Let's get him, guys.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much that's his thing, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And then there's like the main sorcerer bad guy at the end too. Who,
Wagnard, yeah.
Is that what you
Wagnard,
call
yeah.
him? Okay.
Yeah.
I would call him Jafar.
That works.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
that tracks.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
tracks.
Okay. Do we want to kind of try to breeze through the plot?
Yeah.
Yeah, the main
Okay.
plot points.
I'm gonna do my best to pare down. But like,
yeah,
help me. help me.
we've covered a lot, but
Yeah.
it's broken up into sections pretty decently.
So
Yeah.
section 1 is we meet our Fellowship of the Ring, because it's pretty much that.
Yeah.
They fight a dragon.
Yeah, you get a quick little dungeon crawl with the main
You get a
crew
first.
Yeah.
You get a little
to
intro.
introduce them
Yeah.
and let you know this
Yeah.
is a ragtag team.
Totally. You learn about Carla, and then you learn about Gim, and he's got to bring back Lelia. You learn about all this kind of story, which you think is the story.
Yes.
As we
100%.
learn, it's not. We find out about Parn's dad, which we already kind of covered over. And then, while the team is kind of out tackling that dragon, there's goblins massacring the town.
Yes.
And they like come back in the middle of it. And they're like, oh shit, there's goblins. What are we going to do? And Parn kills the goblin leader. And they're like, oh, you're going to bring fucking all these goblins to our land now. Can you fucking leave? We already talked about all this too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we kind of like meet the team of bad guys. Like Carla has like a ragtag group of like, I don't know, sorcerers and like evil kings or something. And she's fucking, I know right away, I'm like, she's going to betray all these motherfuckers because she's promising Lodoss to all of them. One at a time. She's like, yeah, you can control Lodoss or like.
She seems immediately very evil, and then you see her with like all the Marmo people, and you're like, oh yeah, these are her people.
Yeah, she's a string puller. That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
just fucking, she's
She's
playing a
little
game.
marionette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, 100%.
Right.
She's playing a game. Okay, then we meet, we end up in the village where Woodchuck lives, and we meet him. He's not originally part of the team, right?
Well, no.
No,
So
Was he in that
Woodchuck
first mission?
No, Woodchuck it was in prison.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they get all in prison for
That's
a
right.
misunderstanding.
Right.
But also, I think that very first dungeon crawl is like it's out of step with the timeline of what.
Yeah, because
of the
he's
other stuff
there,
that
isn't
we're
he, in that
watching.
one?
I'm pretty sure he is. I think that was like that little dungeon crawl was like a little chunk that they like picked out of the
just put at
team
the
when they were
beginning?
together and stuck it at the beginning.
That's stupid as shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, because they're all together, but then you see some of them actually meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Throughout the story.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, that happened.
Yeah.
So Woodchuck's village, while he's in jail, they're under attack, and our team of heroes, they're like outmatched. They're like, we can't beat these people, so they just have to leave, which is like kind of has huge implications of the strength of the bad guys. Do you know what I mean? If you think about it, if they can't save this like second village that's being attacked, it's like, oh, we might be in trouble here. There's something bigger going on, right? And this is where the the leader of the village, as our team's leaving, is like, well, I'm not leaving, and he just like rides into his death.
Yeah.
And he dies. So that was kind of interesting. Let's see, where the fuck are we? Okay, the bad guys, which is now when we meet this evil elf, I think. They are all heading into the Forest of No Return, which is all spooky and shit. And they even say some stupid shit about like, oh, leave your negative vibes behind or the trees will become evil. And I'm like, that's a fucking bullshit. Just say the trees are evil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It's so on par with like the D&D high fantasy culture where some of this shit is just so campy.
Everything has stupid names.
Yeah.
Dude, the Forest of No Return is stupid as shit.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But pretty classic.
Yeah. And this is where the witch Carla snags the princess, and we find out about this ominous dragon under the villain stronghold. Like we get a glimpse of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, cool. There's gonna be dragons. Amazing.
Yeah, the
And then-
dragon Nars
Is
is
that
the
its
name.
name?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is that the red one?
No, that's the dark one. The
Okay.
black
okay.
one.
Okay. Yeah.
That's like stirring, and then Wagnard is like, oh, like it's Cardis's power is stirring the dragon. It's
Yeah.
time for Cardis to
Yeah.
be reborn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It basically springs the Wagnard guy into action.
Right.
Is the dragon stirring?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So then our crew gets to like go to a big old classic nice party, and they get to dress up while all this war is being waged.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think you're jumping way too far ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
With what?
Because you say Wagner had captured Dietlit, right?
No, the witch has the
No.
princess. Dietlit is at the ball.
Oh, yeah,
Wagner
yeah.
like gets like hit some power and starts
Yeah,
like
that's right,
he
that's
gets
right.
introduced and starts playing the
Yeah,
game
yes,
at this
yes,
point,
yeah,
right?
That's right. My
But
bad.
it's confusing as shit.
That's what I'm saying.
To me too. Anyways,
It's just
Okay.
so janky.
I wasn't confused.
no,
It's so janky. There's
you're
just so
a
many little.
fucking nerd, bro.
Yeah.
Mikey's got a fear boner, or you got a nerd boner for this show.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we're at the ball. Everyone's all dressed up, looking fucking fine. King Cashue shows up, and they call him the Mercenary King, which I actually think is fucking really cool and kind of original. You hear a lot of like versions of like the whatever king, you know what I mean, the Mad King or whatever, but the Mercenary King's a new one I've never heard, and it has implications on like how he carries himself. You know what I mean? Like he's like, okay, I'm the king and I'm the leader, but also like I'm just gonna like grab my team and go into action at any time. when I
Everyone
think
is
it
for
needs to be.
hire,
Yeah.
basically.
And I was like, that's actually cool. And actually, as a character, he's fucking badass.
I agree.
I like him a lot.
I agree. And yeah, he grows on you a lot. At first, I was kind of just like, who is this fucking pseudo hero character,
Yeah.
kind of main character, but like he seems too old to be a main character.
Yeah, and it's like, is he a king or a warrior? He
No,
doesn't
but
look like a king.
he stays a fucking G right through to the end.
Yeah.
That's it.
He was a fucking good dude all
That's
the way.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. So yeah,
He
Parn
probably is the most likable character in this whole show.
He might actually be, man. To be
He's
honest
up
with you,
there.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a flaw in him. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Parn is vibing with him hard. They're like hanging out at the ball and like
He
having a
keeps
good time.
staring at
And may I
him.
wager a guess that Jay ships them.
Nah, man. No. Good guess, but nah, man.
It's more of a father-son kind of situation.
That's
Yeah.
the ship right there.
Okay,
man.
yeah, I agree.
There's no other way
All right.
around it, dude.
So yeah, and then while the ball's happening, the witch like shows up at the castle or whatever and hypnotizes some like ogre prisoner or whatever, and it to kill King Cashaway.
Yeah.
And Parn tries to save Cashaway, but instead gets saved by King Cashaway.
Yeah.
And now they're buddies and they're training together. That's how that goes down.
Yeah.
Teaches him
That's-
sword fighting.
So again, that's another weird thing that just kind of has this weird time skip that made it janky, right? You go from the ball from that just all of a sudden to a scene where they're just fighting each other.
Yeah, well, they're training.
They're training.
But I get what you're saying. It's
right?
quick.
Yeah.
They move on real fast
Yeah.
from like a very
Yeah.
traumatic event.
Yeah.
Yeah, like-
yeah, like an assassination attempt.
Right.
Yeah.
There was no relationship building there.
No,
at
true. I
all.
agree. Yeah, there was like, they were like being cutesy at the ball, and then assassination, and then okay, we're training.
Yeah.
It has pacing issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a fact.
Well, they crammed a lot.
they
they
did.
crammed
did
a lot.
cram a lot in.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's gonna get crazier here because so far it's been pretty linear. But okay, so there's like a crazy big old battle with like orcs and goblins and werewolves, and they introduce a demon sword, and there's also a fucking good guy sword. Like there's two
Yeah.
swords, and they're connected somehow.
Yeah, you see that in the intro though.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's tied to Lodoss itself.
I'm
Yes.
sorry to say that I skip the intros of every show we've ever watched all the time.
That's okay. I generally do sometimes unless it has a really good OP song.
Yeah.
But
All right. But yeah, there's demon
But,
sword,
yeah.
and I don't even know the name of it. I called it the good guy sword.
yeah.
They're connected, and then then there's the dragon. I guess attacks, right? And what's interesting about the dragon's attacks and movements, and we should have probably talked about this in art, but the dragons don't really do anything. It's all like kind of still frames and flashing backgrounds. There's actually no dragon action. That kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
But also, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, when we get a little further ahead, there's that whole scene.
Where the two dragons are fighting each other?
There's that one, but there's this one particular scene with the red dragon.
Yeah.
Where fucking Parn shoots the massive crossbow,
In its eye.
and he catches it in his eye.
Yeah.
It doesn't pierce his eye. He fucking catches.
Wham!
He's got really strong eyelids.
He catches
Yeah.
the crossbow bolt, the massive crossbow bolt, like that's a size of a toothpick to this dragon,
Yeah.
with his eyelids.
Yeah.
Then lightning strikes his fucking the bolt.
Amazing.
Like
Show's
Yeah.
amazing. The show's incredible.
Dude. The spear
what is
acted as a lightning rod.
Lightning rod.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lightning rod. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
This show's amazing.
Yeah, the show's fucking incredible.
It's so good. It's the best show I've ever seen.
Let's keep talking about how else it's amazing.
Okay, so here's another thing that
Because that's all I heard was just how this show is awesome. That's all that I just heard just now.
Here's another thing that's amazing. During this fucking battle, Parn is acting like he's aggressively trying to protect Deedlit as if she's not a fucking badass already.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so capable of protecting
And
herself.
immediately I'm like, this is not a good look on you, Parn.
No.
Like
No.
she could save your ass a million times over.
Yeah,
And
she
you're nothing
says
to
all
her.
the time, like, I'll protect your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard though.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, I think, and again, this is where I might be starting to get confused, but I think the whole team's kind of all split up. So Kashue's army is getting like attacked by goblins, orcs, and werewolves, just general monsters. Parn is also facing off an army, but separately. And then he gets some telepathic message from like an old dude that he needs to stop the witch.
Yeah.
Wart. Yeah.
Who's that though? I don't even know who that is. Anyways,
Wart, he's a sorcerer.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, so they explain that he is like this really old sorcerer that has known Carla for like years and years and years and years.
They
Yeah.
go to him for answers a few times, I think.
Yeah.
Is he like an oracle kind of
kind of
guy? I
type,
guess?
yeah,
All
but
right.
like he just isn't really prominent, and it
Yeah.
just seemed like a plot armor for him to just be like, hey, I'm gonna send you this telepathic message.
Yeah.
You gotta go do this in order for you to move
The thing
on.
is like, didn't he already know he needed to do that? Didn't Parn already know? Didn't everybody already know that Carla needs to be stopped?
yes.
Why did they need a telepathic
Not-
message from a?
Well, no, they didn't know like the mechanics of it. They
Yeah.
knew that she was like obviously no good.
Yeah.
But they didn't know anything about her. They didn't know that it was that
The
the
tiara.
circlet was
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
until they went to Wart because they needed to go to higher intelligence. Somebody
Alright.
who's smarter.
Okay.
Listen, it was definitely like very fucking convenient
yeah.
plot armor that they had this guy
Yeah.
at their disposal.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
you know, at least they fucking used it.
Yeah. The show's
You're gonna
fucking.
inclu-
The
you're
show's
gonna-
amazing.
You're gonna include this guy. You might as well take advantage
Yeah.
and use him.
It was really good writing. The show's fantastic.
Yeah, the show's
I
fucking
loved
amazing.
everything about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
Okay, so after that, the wizard and the dwarf team up at this point as well too, and they like send the priest away. I don't know why, but that just happens. So like everyone's just split up basically. This is where we get the like Bad King king, good king face off at one point, and they both die.
Yeah. That was a great scene, in my opinion. I love that standoff, man.
Yeah, it just wasn't as big as it should have been, in my opinion. Like,
But again, it felt like a kind of moment like this is where the season should be ending on a moment like this. This isn't a mid-season throwaway fucking fart of a moment.
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because it was such a huge moment, especially when the intro builds up and gives you the lore of those two guys with the swords, right? And this conclusion that happens. Actually, this is probably one of the better parts of it, where like you get. I legitimately was shocked when they killed off Bon. No, what's the bad guy's name again? Beld.
Yeah.
Fucking when they killed Beld, and I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was the big bad.
Yeah. yeah. I was like,
dead.
okay.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
I knew he couldn't have been the big bad, though, because Carla had like 6 or 7 big bads that she was bigging up at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
too much going on. Not to
that-
mention dragons.
And at that time, I was like, okay, well, if he's not, then Carla definitely is.
I thought Carla was, for sure.
Also not the case.
No, not the case.
No.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, is this intentionally like throwing me off, or is this just like sloppy?
yeah.
Yeah, like sloppy, like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make this guy the big bad now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Or this guy.
No, we'll kill him. Okay, who we got to find another big bad?
Yeah.
The circlet's gonna fly onto Woodchuck's head. Yeah. Okay, okay. Now we got another big bad for a few episodes. It's like it did feel a little bit like
Well,
that.
and it really what it comes down to is all this is probably fleshed out really nicely in the novels.
Yes.
Not in 13 episodes.
No,
That's really what
yes.
happened. So, like, yeah, the answer is sadly, like, it is a bit sloppy.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's the answer. But no, this show's fucking amazing. It's fantastic.
it's fucking
It's
incredible.
the
show.
best.
It might be the greatest show I've ever seen.
Show
It might be the best show I've ever seen.
in
Honestly,
the world.
It's the best show I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay,
Let's
so
keep talking about it.
Yeah, let's keep going. So after this like bunch of battles going on, Parn looks back over the battlefield that he was just dealing with, and there's all these fucking dead people, and you get this one keyframe of his saddest fucking face ever, dude. And you're like starting to get the gravity of how he's like feeling the weight and the sadness of what it means to be in war.
Yes.
And
So
to be a
there's-
knight, you know what I
there's-
mean?
yeah.
Like something you forget again, because like Mikey said, he's got a lot of childlike
Yeah, totally.
characteristics. This guy's a fucking knight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
His
totally.
purpose is to go and risk his life
Yeah,
all the time
yeah.
in a land that is made by war for
Yeah.
war.
Actually, he's not knighted yet. He's just a guy out
Not
there
yeah,
fighting.
not
Not
officially,
yet,
but
not
he's
officially,
He's,
but
He's acting
he's-
as a knight.
Yeah.
come on, dude. He's a fucking knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's warrior class regardless.
There you go. Whatever that
Exactly.
means.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing that happens that's worth talking about is the crew is then attacked by like a random dude and girl with red hair. And the dude like goes
Orson is the dude,
Okay.
and the girl is. If you watched the sub, you probably got the worst subtitles of all time.
Shirt.
And think that this is shirts.
Yeah.
I assure
Here is
you.
pants.
I assure you, it's not shirts. Her name is Shiris.
Yeah, shit is.
Shiris. Shiris. Shiris.
Not shirts?
But if you say that really fast,
Shirts.
Shirts.
Shiris.
Yeah.
Shiris. Shiris.
Yeah.
Shiris. Shirts,
Yeah, we get it.
shirts. Now it's shirts.
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
everybody thinks there's a character called Shirts.
I like it better when her name is Shirts.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes. Okay,
Man,
so
it drove me fucking crazy, dude. Every time I was reading, I'm like, Shirts. Why does it say Shirts?
yeah, for fun because this show's
It
fantastic.
doesn't even sound like it
Yeah,
when they
it's
say it.
a great character naming.
It's a really good show. Okay.
Anyways,
so they get attacked.
I loved these characters so much, but like
So little of them.
too little, too late.
They don't do anything. The guy does almost go Super Saiyan for a second there.
Yeah.
Listen. I loved Orson. I loved the Berserker rage.
Yeah.
I loved, but again, too little, too late. Why am I getting this so late in the fucking story?
Yeah.
Why weren't these people with the party initially?
Sure.
Why weren't they part of the original crew?
Yeah.
Well, and this is what I'm saying.
you know
right?
why?
So cool.
Because in the novels, this is where they're written in, and there's
This-
probably a lot more of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And it's fleshed out probably
Yeah,
more in there.
definitely.
And like, you get more of their backstory, you get more of them
For sure.
and all the reasons why. Like it's like in video games too, right? When you get introduced in JRPG to new characters to your party, right? You get all of that.
Yeah.
And you just can't do it in a 13 episode season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You just
can't.
can't
It's
do
too
it.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep blasting through. So at this point, we then find out that the witch is now in Lelia. And the dwarf is now trying to save her, and like some shit's going down. Everyone's getting electrocuted, and they do end up saving her, but the dwarf dies.
Yes.
Gim.
Gim.
Yeah, okay.
My buddy Gim.
I don't remember anybody's names. Mikey likes
The
Gim.
dwarf.
Yeah.
The dwarf. Well,
He was
they're
just
so
such-
archetypal that calling him the dwarf, you know who I'm talking about.
I
Yes.
know.
Yeah, there's no other dwarves on the
Yeah.
show, not a
Balls.
single other one.
But
He
he
deserves
he also
respect.
had
Okay.
he was the one of the few characters that was also likable, like
Yeah.
King Cashew, and like he just I don't know, he just had that sad fatherly story to him where
He
he's
did.
like looking for his daughter,
Yeah,
right? And you just
Yeah.
kind of sympathized with him.
totally. Okay, so he dead. And then Woodchuck gets the headband, and now he's the witch. And at this point, I didn't even realize that the witch was like switching bodies like this. And this is when I kind of figured it out. And I was like, okay, I guess witch can switch bodies. So then we meet my buddy Sword Emo, Ashram. And
He is now ruling like all of Marmo. Like,
yeah, but he's kind of getting played by Jafar a little bit.
yes,
Because
yes.
Jafar's like,
He's the new Beld, though. He's
Yeah.
the new Beld.
and
Yeah.
Jafar's like, hey, go get the scepter and you can rule Lodoss. When meanwhile, Jafar wants the scepter. Of
Yeah.
course, right? That's how that's going to go. And this is where we learn about the Scepter of Domination, which is also a fucking stupid ass name for a
It
thing.
is pretty on the nose.
And then we find out that whoever,
Literally spelled out for you.
yeah,
What's that thing do?
yeah, yeah,
Couldn't tell ya.
Dominates.
yeah, we club people. So yeah, whoever holds
Club
the Scepter
sandwiches,
of
not seals.
Domination, they control Lodoss. That's just like its magical power. Mike, you're weird as shit, buddy. I love it though.
Oh man.
Alrighty. Okay, so meanwhile, all this shit's going on. This giant red dragon is fucking shit up, and they call him the Shooting Star in the sub or the dub anyhow.
Yes.
And then
It is.
Cashaway decides I got to go out on a dragon quest. Literally says the words dragon quest, which is also a stupid thing to say.
Maybe in the dub he says that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, but he won't let Parn come with him because he's like, nah, you're not.
Yeah, you're
You're not a
reckless.
knight. You're reckless. You're not good enough for this yet. So Parn and Deedly go off, and Deedly almost gets captured by the evil elves.
Yeah, so Wagnard is demanding a high elf sacrifice
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
allow Cardis's powers to awaken.
Right. Who's
So that-
Cardis, by the way?
Cardis is the god of evil, basically. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
the two major gods of Lodoss that are always
They tell
at-
you
in
that story at the beginning.
beginning. Yes,
Yeah.
Cardis is the bad one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
the
cool,
one
cool,
you
cool.
don't want to win.
Okay. Cool.
It's the one Wagnard does want to basically
Yeah.
reawaken and like become one with Cardis.
Yeah, okay,
he
cool.
believes he can basically become Cardis, more or less.
Okay.
Become a god.
That's right.
So yeah, he sends Pirates out to capture Deed.
Yeah. And they're like fighting, and it looks like they're almost gonna get her. And then like our new friends, the Berserker and the other chick, show up, and they're
Orson and shirts.
like, shirts, yeah, okay. Amazing. And these like evil elves are like legit scared of the Berserker. They're like,
Yeah.
we gotta get the fuck out of here before this guy goes Saiyan.
Yeah,
Super Saiyan.
because they know.
Yeah, they know.
They know.
Exactly. So after this ends up happening, for some reason, Parn and Deedly end up deciding, like, well, we'll just go after the dragon. Even
Yeah.
though King Cashaway said no. And this is where Mikey gets his favorite scene with the catching of the spear and the lightning bolt. And for some reason, this causes the dragon to actually go away for a little while. Like, he stops raging for a minute. Just for a second.
Gotta go deal with some things.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta rethink my life for a minute. So he
Oh,
goes
God.
away, and then after this moment, like Cashaway then decides, like, oh, actually, that was pretty cool. You could probably join my Dragon Quest. So
Yeah.
Parn now is in the team, and they go off through the Dragon Pass.
Yeah,
which is
don't-
another
don't-
stupid ass name of
Like,
something.
don't be reckless, Parn.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like-
exactly.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. So we're in the Dragon Pass, which is the greatest name for a thing because this show's amazing and I love it. And
Well,
Great name.
Dragon Pass,
Passes.
of course, part of Fire Dragon Mountain.
of course, yeah, absolutely.
Fire Dragon Mountain, Dragon
Yeah.
Pass,
Yeah.
where the dragon is.
Very clever writing.
Fire dragon.
It's very clever writing.
In the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire Dragon Mountain.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Dragon's
yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, there's a dragon in this?
And the dragon
right.
has the scepter of domination.
Yes.
Yes, in the mountain.
In the mountain.
Fire Dragon
Fire
Mountain.
Dragon Mountain.
Because he's a fire dragon.
He's a fire dragon.
In the
Yes.
mountain.
And
He's
you
an
get to-
ancient fire dragon.
And you have to get to him by taking the Dragon Pass.
Dragon Pass. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so in the Dragon Pass, there's a fucking a fucking assortment of obstacles that various characters have various abilities to help them circumvent.
Yeah.
Struggle, triumph.
Yeah.
Struggle, triumph.
Pretty much, yeah. And then we get inside finally, and the fucking Sword Emo is also in there, and he is trying to get that scepter, and they come across all the treasure, finds the scepter, and the scepter happens to just be adorned with a bunch of naked women.
Yes.
Like, that's the design of the scepter.
It
Yes.
just happens to be. I mean,
Like, why?
Why not, dude?
What does that have to do with domination?
Dude, it's like
if
heavy
you get
metal,
to design,
man.
if you get to design a scepter,
Yeah.
Yes.
you're not even going to consider naked women.
Probably not, actually, to be honest with you. Let me tell you a
Okay.
funny story that it reminded me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect women.
So do
So
I.
do
so much
I.
so that I
Yeah.
want to immortalize them in my scepter.
All right,
Yes.
but I'd like a woman to feel comfortable holding my scepter as well.
Some women would
What-
totally
what makes
become
you think
some-
they wouldn't be?
Some.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer to let
Yeah.
the women decide because they have
Yeah,
agency.
Yeah, they do.
I don't
agree.
make decisions for them.
It does-
Yeah, why don't you put
what
any naked
Jay
men on
said.
there, Jay? Why don't you put any naked men
Who
on your
says
scepter?
I'm not going to?
Okay, maybe you would. Your scepter would probably be better than this one.
Thanks.
Let me
You
tell you a
love
funny
my
story
scepter.
about naked women like that it reminded me of. No, I don't want to hear about your scepter. That's why we bought these panels. Okay?
So nobody can
the
see you
scepters.
touching my scepter.
What are you and Mikey doing under there? I have my own side to myself.
You got long legs.
Yeah, we got long legs.
You got long somethings.
Scepters.
You got long scepters. All right, we're weird as shit. Yeah, okay. Where the fuck was I? We're giggling
My
like
scepter of
crazy, man.
That's what Mikey's going to start calling it now.
Yeah.
His
All
scepter
right.
of domination. Yeah.
All right.
Holy
This is a fun
shit.
one.
It's getting late. I think we're almost getting like tired giggles.
Oh,
at this
yeah,
point.
yeah. But I'm
So,
here for it.
yeah,
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back.
Oh,
the
man.
sword Emo and Jafar are now facing off. The Jafar steals the scepter.
Yeah.
Okay. And like shit's going down, rocks are falling, everything's going on. The dark elf runs in to try and save Sword Emo. And instead he saves her, and then they both fall to their doom.
Yes.
Okay, so you just glossed over that like an asshole, and that's fine. I know it's like for the sake of time, I think probably because you want to keep it moving.
Yeah, for the sake of time. Yeah,
but
yeah, that's why.
I found that like moment to be like amazing. Like
Yeah.
huge payoff for both of those characters' arcs. As sad and tragic as it was, like I think they were always fated to have kind of a tragic end. The two
Here's
of
the
them,
thing.
but it did this insane like amount of humanizing of Ashram.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
So fast and so quickly and so powerfully that like it didn't necessarily hit me as cheap or rushed. Like it might, it could run that risk, but like
Well, just
It-
the whole fact that he's, she tells him, if she gets in the way, just kill me.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, no problem. I'll fucking
Yeah.
kill you. And then he proceeds to save her.
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely an oh fuck moment. That like for sure, you definitely think you know that character at that point.
Here's
You don't at
why
all.
I have the opinions I have on that, and here's the opinions as well too. So, they didn't really spend a lot of time building the relationship to those characters for that to be as big of a payoff as it could have been.
Sure.
And then also, it doesn't change anything for Ashram going forward because, as we know, he
No.
doesn't die, and he just continues doing his same thing, unaffected by what just happened to him here.
Yeah, but he's designed as a very stoic character.
Yeah, I'm just saying that this like
You don't know that he's not unaffected because his continuing to go
Yeah.
and push could be in the wake of knowing that Pyrotess is gone. This is his only path left.
okay, but also
She may have been an out for him
yeah
had she not died.
could be, but there was no evidence to think he wanted an out. He was
No,
always
you're
just
right.
going.
And I agree that they could have done more with that, but like
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one way to look at it, that like his continuation on his path and the fact that she seemingly didn't make a difference, her death could have kept him on that dark path and actually could have been
Maybe.
a difference maker, but like in the negative way.
But also, would she have even stayed and loved him if he thought of her as an out? Because she was also going.
She was all in, you're right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
no,
like,
you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll never know.
we will.
We'll never know.
I do. Anyways, one thing I took away from that scene that was kind of another like character growth was actually not for either of them, but it was for Parn, who once again looked back, witnessed that happen, and even said out loud something along the lines of like, "Oh, that death will be etched on my heart forever. I'll never forget having witnessed that." And that I think was very humanizing because imagine being a human being to witness that sort of like self-sacrifice.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
Like
Yeah.
just meters away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay, guys,
It's
we're
not
getting
even
there.
self-sacrifice, right? It's just a tragic end.
Well, he didn't have to
Right?
die.
He didn't have to die, right?
So he did sacrifice. But yeah, you're right. Like for what? He didn't sacrifice for a thing. He just wanted to die with her.
Yeah. It was just a
Yeah.
tragic end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very Shakespearean.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it. Again, I wish there was more of that vibe. Like, I wish this played out more like
Yeah.
a really tragic romance,
Sure.
as opposed to
Yeah.
like a magical adventure.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
agreed.
Give me a
If that
dark
was-
gothic romance built around the Civil War and the battling.
Yeah.
and less of the scepters and you know what I mean?
Bad dragon fights.
Goblins and
Yeah.
yeah.
I will
Yeah, I would
also-
have been down for that.
Not to mention
100%.
zombie monsters later on, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I do agree that was one of the more striking scenes of the show by far. Another really striking scene that stood out for me, but for very different reasons, was this cute Parn Deedley moment by the fire. She's sleeping on the couch. He brings her a white rose. She stirs ever so gently. They exchange cute words. You know what I mean? And then once again, we get the fucking eyes of an angel.
Sparkling, man.
Sparkling eyes.
Yeah.
That scene, I liked it. I liked
Dude,
it.
and it was like one
It was
of
cute.
the more like explicit shows of affection between
Totally.
them, romantic affection between them. Whereas
And they were-
before it's always kind of playful and
Playful.
like,
Yep.
no, we're
Yeah.
not gonna go all the way.
Yeah,
kinda
and
thing.
neither of them were in their like garb, their battle garb. They were just like hanging out in a room, kind of like chilling, recovering, whatever.
Yeah, they were just being themselves.
Exactly.
Right? Like they
Yeah.
like the walls were down at that point.
I like that.
How you can imagine
Yeah.
them existing if they weren't doomed to Lodoss.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is just hell on earth.
Speaking of being doomed to Lodoss, the next time we see them, they're like out in a field, and Jafar shows up and snags her away in a pink orb.
Snaggles, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
bubbled up.
Yeah.
Very,
so,
very
yeah.
reminiscent of Zelda.
That happens.
Yes.
While that's happening, Parn is trying to like break the pink orb open, and his sword shatters.
Yeah.
And then when he gets back, he's given the magical good sword.
Yes.
And so now he has the magical good sword, and fucking Ashram has the sword of doom or whatever the fuck stupid name it has.
Sort of the Dark Emperor. Or
I,
something
I
like
don't
that.
care what
Yeah,
its name
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So, anyways, now they are truly counterparts to each other,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So at this point, everyone's going to Marmo. Everyone's fighting monsters along the way. You've got sea monsters, werewolves, orcs, goblins, a plant monster, and ghosts.
Yes. Dude, honestly, it's like it gets to the point where it's just like a kitchen sink of fucking fantasy.
Yeah.
But that's D&D too.
Yeah.
Like all these creatures, and like they're not werewolves, they're kobolds.
Yeah, that's very true too.
Yeah, which is a D&D thing, but like
Not
you
just
know.
a D&D thing, but like it's in video games
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
and all sorts of other stuff.
Japan just for some reason makes them less reptilian and more wolf-like, whereas in like a lot of other lore, they're almost more
Yeah.
like lizard people.
All right.
Closer to that. But yeah, anyways.
Cool. All right, so they're all heading to Marmo. We get there, and Deedley she's in the middle of her sacrifice, basically.
I will have to say though, like her sacrifice outfit was cool.
Yeah, because there was almost none of it.
No, she was all in black, and she had like it was very reminiscent of like almost Egyptian
Sure.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
and it reminded me actually a lot of this one character from Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
the God of Destruction.
Okay.
But you haven't seen it yet, so
No.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. But
yes,
while
actually.
this is happening, yeah, of course, right? Of course. Oh my God, guys, we're almost there. We're almost there. This show is really good. It's fantastic. We're gonna talk about it a bit more. Okay, so while this is happening, there's a head-to-head dragon fight happening in the air because I guess there's a good dragon now. There's like a brown
Yeah,
one who's
yeah.
a good
No,
guy.
it's the gold dragon.
Right, it's
Dragon.
golden.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but they're not really doing anything. It's just still framing images of them gnashing their teeth. And then back underground, the fucking Sword Emo and Jafar are facing off, which was bound to happen. Okay.
Yes.
And meanwhile, the scepter is just floating there, and it keeps the sacrifice going. And by the way, we find out at this point that Emo's not dead in both senses of the phrase.
Yeah,
Yes.
Because Emo's not dead.
yeah.
Because I like emo music.
Okay.
And so yeah, there's a bunch of back and forth. Parn gets involved, and then finally Emo is dead. So I guess I'm not going to listen to Dashboard Confessional anymore.
Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah. And now there's zombie monsters. That's happening now as well too. And at this point, the sorcerer, who's like kind of feels like he's getting outmatched, just like destroys the scepter. And he basically does this because he thinks he's going to doom Lodoss by doing that. He's like, well, if I can't have the scepter, no one can have it, and then Lodoss will be doomed forever because the war will never end because no one will be able to control Lodoss, right? Yeah, so that happens. And then somehow now Parn has both swords. He's got the good sword and
Yeah.
the bad sword.
He's dual wielding.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking badass moment.
Actually, yeah. That
Well,
is
we're getting
true.
to the
Dude,
end,
I
so
love
it's getting
dual
big
wield.
finally,
Yeah.
right? And he's also now protected by like the pink energy bubble. He's like surrounded by one, and he turns it blue, which doesn't mean anything except that he changed the bad energy to good, I guess.
That's all you need
Yeah.
to know, bro.
Okay.
You did it.
All right.
Congratulations.
And then at this point, the sorcerer,
Gets spelt out for you.
the sorcerer's dead or defeated. I don't remember it happening, but I guess it does happen.
He gets defeated, and then he's just like, well, if I can't control everything, no one will, and everything is gonna die.
Yeah.
And then to try to release,
Yeah.
fucking what's his name again?
Curtis.
Anyways, they
Yeah,
kill
no,
him.
Ashram gets credit for taking
Yeah.
out Wagner.
Yeah.
Does he? No, I thought Ashram died before Wagner.
No, but he
Wagner.
delivered a fatal wound.
Yeah, he sliced his face up.
Yeah.
And like that was why Wagner knew he was gonna die.
Oh, so he's bleeding out,
And
basically.
that was why he destroyed the scepter. He's just like, I'm not going to be able to live to control Cardis's power.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck this.
I
And
getcha.
then blew it up.
I gotcha. Okay, so,
Ashram wins.
well, he died.
Ashram wins.
This show's really
This
good.
is the best fucking show.
Such a good show.
Such a good show.
I really
guys.
enjoyed watching it and talking about it with you
Yeah.
guys.
Also, the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so we're getting to the end. There's a couple more things. At this point, the I'm pretty sure Wart, who I once again forgot about because there's just a random old man, kind of ghosty, and a cloaked dude like watching from a distance, talking about what's going on.
Yeah, that's
I-
Woods.
Who?
Wood.
I don't actually legitimately didn't remember who either of these guys were.
Woodchuck?
Woodchuck.
That's Woodchuck?
That was Woodchuck. That's Carla.
Oh,
And that's when they say
sense.
like it doesn't matter like who I'm for Lodoss, right? So
They can
That makes
win
a
all
lot
they
of
want.
sense.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to move
Makes
on
a lot
to
of
the
sense.
next person.
It's kind of like
Yeah. Scales.
it's kind of
Yeah.
like the last episode of Lost.
I haven't
really
seen
wa-
it, so I don't
okay.
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, regardless of that. And then here's another thing worth talking about that means nothing to the show whatsoever, but there's like a random Deedly nip slip at the end.
Yeah.
He's carrying her out
Yeah.
and her boob's out.
Yeah.
After a whole show of no boob, there's one little boob at the very end.
I guess that's your payoff, man. For getting through the show.
It's
Nice.
also it's also like anime is so good at reminding you like at the end of the day that it's probably some horny dude drawing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pictures
yeah.
you're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And that will come out sometime.
Yeah. At the very end of the very last episode, the guy's
Yeah.
like, I've been thinking about these boobs for 13
Little
episodes. I
titty-
got
little titty time.
slip one out for them.
Why not, man?
Very strange.
Dude, you know how much fucking Rule 34 delete there is on the
I
internet?
don't doubt that there's a
Oh
million
yeah, I
of
don't
them.
doubt it at all.
Yeah, dude. Trust me. It's
Rule 34
that's,
everywhere.
that's one of about 8 billion delete nips on
Yeah.
the internet.
Yeah,
so.
that's the OG Deedly nip, though.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, so we're at the very end. We get a happy ending. Parn gets knighted, and he rides off on a horse with Deedly, the fucking end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So
Woo!
yeah.
What a great show. 10 out of 10. Best show I've ever seen.
Nice.
10,
nice.
10, 10.
Where can people find you, Jordy?
Okay, I want to say though, the best thing that they could have done, honestly, was make these into multiple seasons just right away off
Agreed.
the gate, so
Agreed.
that they could flesh everything out and you could have proper character development. The other thing I want to say is I really was kind of hoping that what was the evil god's name again?
Cardis?
Cardis. I wish Cardis came to life. I wish that was the ultimate big bad.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in the follow-up series or subsequent series or whatever that you eventually might get Cardis. Right?
Yeah.
That would be a cool big bad to work up to.
Yeah, right. Because
Is it not a little bit like Sauron, though? Who, like, is just an eye in the sky controlling things, and you never actually see Sauron. He never actually fights.
See, again,
Yeah.
you went with the Lord of the Rings reference and you fucked up again.
Why?
Because the eye is literally only a movie thing. At no point in time in the actual story is Sauron ever actually an eyeball.
Yeah.
The fiery eye was literally created by Peter Jackson.
But in the book, they talk about the eye of Sauron and how it's watching them, right? So
Yeah,
take the
and
eye away.
And it is not a giant eye on
No,
top of a
I
tower.
understand. But listen, take the physical eye away. There still is an element of Sauron that never manifests. That's what I'm relating here.
No.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Regardless.
Why? No, I'm not, dude.
Regardless.
The eye of Sauron's always watching. Mikey's angry now.
Regardless. Jordy, what do you give this?
I gave it a 6 out of 10, which is more than you probably thought I was going to give it.
Actually,
yeah,
yeah, that is more
more
than I
than
thought.
Because,
yeah.
like I said, I didn't hate it, dude. It was like mostly fun to watch, but there was just a lot to harp on.
Yeah.
On top of it being fun.
Yes.
That's it. And so, like, I felt like 6 was an appropriate score. 6, 5.55. You know,
You reverse Mikey. Very
Yeah,
nice.
mid to low tier.
Very nice.
Mid to low tier. Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
Fuck. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I didn't think this was perfect either. I thought that they could have done more with it, but they also couldn't. I don't think it was ever in the cards for them to be.
Yeah, I do.
To be doing a full season for each of these plot
Yeah.
lines. They did what they could, and they were obviously just given 13 episodes, and they fucking.
Yeah, I give it a bit of grace for that.
Yeah, I'll give them a
especially
bit of
for
a
the time.
Yeah,
In the-
so I'll
in
give
the
them
90s,
a break.
yeah.
I'll give this an 8.
An 8. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I give this as a 9.5.
The best show I've ever watched.
Best fucking show I've ever
It's
seen.
a really good show.
We don't give 10s, but I'm
give
going to give this a 10. 10 out of 10.
9.99. 9.98.
But actually, walk yourself down from a 9.5 to your actual score.
We walk myself
Yeah.
down?
Yeah, like 9.5, 9, 8, 8.5,
8,
8, 7.5, 7.
7.2, maybe a 6.8.
6.8.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
no, 6.
Mid to high
Six,
tier.
6.5.
Okay, anyways, I'll give it a 6 too.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Son of a bitch.
Anyway, where can people find you, Jordy?
Reaching in on Instagram.
And you, Jay?
At hanger.91, I'm the only one of us that likes 90s anime.
That's
not
not
true.
true.
The scores would say otherwise.
This one, maybe.
This one is the
Yeah.
best show I've ever seen. I've never seen
Yeah.
better. It's
And
fantastically
you-
written.
Yeah, you know how much I love 90s anime.
I know I said that to piss you off.
Okay, yeah, you did. You did a fucking good job.
Respect, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done.
Anyways, also go check out Never Not Kittens.
Yes.
They're the ones who sponsored us for these new cameras.
Great kitten rescue.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit kitten rescue. They're mainly on TikTok. You can go
you love
see
cats.
the link below.
Do it.
They have cats available for adoption. Have we ever said that?
Yeah, they do. So if you're in like,
I don't know if we've said that
Toronto-
specifically.
yeah.
They rescue cats, but you could have one. You could get one.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on your area. I mean,
Of course.
we do
Yeah. I'm just
we
saying.
do have people from the States that might actually come up
You
and you
can.
can meet them, but like,
Yeah.
They're just
again,
giving them away.
Yeah.
Come get your cats.
Anyway, I'm Mikey Lee. You can find me at Korean Barbecue 86 on Instagram, but you'll most likely find me on our TikTok page, which is Shmanime Pod. Come join the Discord. Come hang out. We love you guys.
We do.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Peace out.